Hey, at least one of these games came out in 2025. Welcome back to Corporate Holiday. I'm your host, Ether, or Holiday, or whatever third term I decide to go by from the next video. Welcome to the new year. What better way to ring it in than a good old-fashioned best of video? An important distinction here is the word played in the title. I've played a few games this year, not that many that came out this year. If you ask me for a best of 2025, it'd probably just be Sonic Racing Crossworlds at the moment. But I had a few titles I played this year I wanted to talk about, and so I've tried to do a bit of a wide variety of games I found interesting this year, and hopefully you find one of them interesting too. Now before we get started, if there's a game you've played this year that you think I should check out, leave a comment. I'm always excited to try out new stuff, and if a lot of you want me to try out a game, I might even make a video on it. After 6 months I guess, but I might. Now without further ado, let's start off with two honorable mentions. Now a lot of you have subscribed to me because I've showed up in a Minecraft video or two, shout out to Leon, so let's give you a small mention here to a mod pack. Now I want to shout out TNP Limitless 8, or the entire Limitless series. This is a mod pack, and a pretty messy one. It's from a series of kitchen sink mod packs where I think the developer took the idea of chucking every mod that he thought was kind of neat into a mod pack. I tend to get addicted to the game for about a week, 4 or 5 times a year, playing one of these mod packs. They're buggy, they're unbalanced, and they're way too much fun. They're too overstuffed. You cannot get through every mod in every playthrough, you're not going to know what half the stuff in your inventory does, and you're going to want to rush a storage mod within like 2 hours. I love these mod packs and kitchen sink mod packs in general, and if your computer can handle it, I'd recommend giving it a shot. And I hope this gives you a taste of what I'm looking for in this video. It's not a bunch of perfect games, but games and things I found fun. Now my second honorable mention is Path of Exile 2. I love action RPGs. I have 1,500 hours in Path of Exile 1, and if you've never played an action RPG before, it's a style of isometric RPG focused on looting, where the main gameplay loop is grinding the same content to get new gear, to do more damage, to grind the same content, to get more gear, to do more damage. They are games for a very specific type of person, which is probably why I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this. I'm sure if you've heard about Path of Exile, you've probably seen the skill tree, which is a bit of a block for getting new players. But PoE 2 has been pretty great this year. There's a great new 4th act, the new Druid class is fun, and the Abyss League mechanic was really fun to play. If you're unfamiliar with ARPGs, one of the main things they tend to have are seasons, where every 3 or 4 months there's new content that kind of convinces you to play the same game again, but with a new way to grind loot. Now this is an honorable mention because as a Path of Exile player, I also hate Path of Exile. I will not elaborate, but if you know, you know. Great game though, and it might be on next year's list if it heads out of early access and fixes the problems I have with it. And now that the honorable mentions are done, let's start with the games I've played this year I've loved, starting with Doom. Now if you've watched my channel, you've seen me try out the original Doom and the first chapter of it earlier this year. Well, after that video and the Steam sale, I gave the rebooted version a shot about 3 weeks ago. Doom is just a really good first-person shooter. I've never clicked with something like Call of Duty or Battlefield, but this game was way more up my alley. The brutal science fiction aesthetic and the banging soundtrack gets you really locked in on killing demons, and it's also extremely campy. It doesn't take itself that seriously, and the edginess at times gets to the point of just being kind of funny. The game basically consists of going from arena to arena, killing demons with like a armada of weapons and modifications to those weapons that make them a little different. Some weapons do feel better than others. I love the Gauss Cannon, but I don't think I hated any of them, which made the weapon switching a fun way to change up the moment-to-moment loop of killing demons in an arena, which started to get a little bit tiring, I'd say, around the end of the game. Now the story is nothing to write home about, and I'm a bit iffy on the weapon upgrade system. I think I'm too bad at these games to take full advantage of the power-ups. The negatives don't really take too much away from the game though when you realize it regularly goes on sale for literally $4. Pick this up if you have any interest in it. And now for something completely different, next up is Sayonara Wild Hearts. I already know this game is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it's my favorite game of the year and probably in my top 5 of all time. Wild Hearts is more of an experience than a game. The gameplay is a mix of a platformer and a rhythm game set to an hour-long pop album. You play as the alter ego of a young girl, the Fool, as she battles Little Death and her allies. This is a game that gave me a unique feeling a lot of my favorite games do, synesthesia, matching gameplay to sound in a way that makes it more impactful. It is a short game, but that short runtime is filled with colorful, fun set pieces in these levels that make chasing high scores real fun and makes chasing the achievements more tolerable. I don't really like the achievements here. The game regularly goes on sale for $5, so if this looks cool to you, give it a shot. It's pretty cheap, and if you think the aesthetic and what you're seeing here right now is cool, you'll probably like the game. It really doesn't overstay its welcome. Next up is V Rising, which was a bit of a surprise hit for me. In a bit of a similar vein to Path of Exile 2, V Rising is also a top-down ARPG, but with some drastically different mechanics. You play as a vampire, construct a castle, hunt down V blood carriers, and grow slowly more powerful. I've never played Rust, but I think I've heard the multiplayer format the game is based on is more in that vein, a PvPvE game. I played the bulk of it in single player, although I never finished the story due to a hardware issue, but I love my time with it enough to give it a thumbs up. Compared to your Path of Exile or Diablos, the bosses here I feel like can be a little bit more challenging in general. Your power level isn't really allowed to surpass them by that much. There's a few bosses you can skip for sure and then come back, they're a lot easier, but generally, a little bit of challenge. The base building was also really fun, but also one of my main faults with the game. It's real easy to make a pretty base, and I think if you have been playing any creative game like a Minecraft or a Terraria or something, you can always find some interest in base building even in like an RPG game. But being primarily designed, I think, for multiplayer, it can be really grindy. I will also say though, you can toggle a lot of these settings in single player. I remember, for example, specifically toggling a setting that didn't allow me to teleport with certain items, which didn't really seem to matter when I'm playing alone. No one's gonna come and kill me for my loot, so saves me some time. V Rising is typically more expensive than the other two games I've mentioned, but it started to pop up in a few bundles, so you might be able to get it for pretty cheap. I grabbed it for I think around a $15 mark. Next up, Neon White. Neon White is fantastic. It's a pretty common theme I think in a lot of these games that really hit for me this year. A killer soundtrack and some striking visuals, and Neon White delivers on both, not to mention the gameplay. While Neon White is also a first-person shooter, I'd say that only in the loosest terms. It's a speedrunning game where you use your gun cards and abilities to get through a level as fast as possible. You really get that urge to retry a level when you really know you could have gotten a faster time, and this will get you to chase some of those high scores for sure. I also feel like I don't even need to mention the soundtrack done by Machine Girl. Honestly, I'm going to hijack this section to say I'm going to have a few of the soundtracks for these games linked in the description, just because if you're not going to play any of these games, listen to some of the music. It's so good. The main knock I've heard about this game is the writing, and it can honestly be pretty corny. The visual novel sections of the game are honestly just alright for me. I don't think it's awful or anything, but I'll admit, didn't quite hit the mark for me. I still have a bit more to do in this game, but I feel confident recommending it to anyone who finds that moment-to-moment gameplay loop interesting. And it just goes on sale for as low as $7, so not hard to try it. And finally, the last game this year, Lumines Arise. And now I did lie earlier, this was the other game I've played that came out this year. Little known fact, Tetris Effect is my favorite game of all time. Lumines is also a series of games I've loved since I first played Electronic Symphony on the Vita, so when this game got announced, I knew it would be right up my alley. Lumines Arise is a game from Enhance, who also made Tetris Effect and kind of specializes in that kind of synesthesia type of gameplay I've mentioned. Lumines is a puzzle series where you have to combine 4 blocks of the same color. Combining more than 4 blocks in bigger rectangles or squares up your combo, and at a certain point, the songs and visuals will change. This makes Lumines a natural combo with Tetris Effect, due to Tetris Effect's big gimmick being changing the music and the sounds as you play through the level, something that already is natural in Lumines. Now for me, a Lumines game lives and dies on its soundtrack, and while Lumines Arise is more in the vein of Tetris Effect compared to I think the more house aesthetic you get from the original Lumines and Electronic Symphony, I would say that Tetris Effect soundtrack is noticeably better. That's not to say Lumines Arise has a bad soundtrack though, and that feeling of synesthesia comes through the same as ever as a lot more things are actually happening to your board, I find, throughout the levels. One thing that did bother me was in Tetris Effect when you beat a level, there's a pretty long gap between changing songs, which was fine because in Tetris you're not used to it. In Lumines, you are used to the songs changing immediately, and so on first playthrough, pretty annoying to have that break in Arise. I will say though, once you beat the full game, it unlocks a mode similar to old Lumines gameplay though, and so that kind of wipes away my biggest gripe with the main playthrough. Enhance's games really have a unique vibe to them which you don't get from any other company. If you're interested in a puzzle game, I'd say give Lumines a shot. or Tetris Effect for that matter, since it is older, cheaper, and I do prefer it, but Lumines is great. I love it, and the fact that it has less than 1,000 reviews on Steam is criminal. If you like puzzle games, you really gotta check it out. That's gonna do it for my favorite games I've played in 2025. Remember, if there's a game you've played this year you think I should check out, leave a comment. I'm always excited to try out new games, and if enough people recommend something, I might even get off my butt and make a video about it. 2025 was a great year for new releases too, and I'm sure you'll see my thoughts on a few of those big games next year once the prices start to drop and I can give Expedition 33 another Game of the Year award. But for now, it's Corporate Holiday signing off. Stay wavy.